deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of the places.
I feel like there's one more in there, but I don't remember the name of it. So.
I'm going to have to write a list.
Hey, would you ever get a tattoo?
No.
No?
No.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I think I want one. Like
I always think I want one, too.
I love that.
But I can't stick to one thing that makes me think I can wear this for the rest of my life. I think I have a cousin who tattooed someone who passed away, her name, and a broken heart over his heart.
Yeah.
And I could see that being something, that memorializes, but I don't know what I would want on my body forever.
Well, I love talking to people, and I love tattoos.
I do too.
I love talking to people and
I don't know that
story.
I got to back that up. I don't know if I love them. Some of them I love. Some of them I'm like, what are you doing?
Yes. So I'm not saying I would never get a tattoo because I don't like tattoos and I don't want skin, ink on my skin and blah. No, I just haven't found one that I like. The closest one I found was, the poem about do not go gentle into this weary night. He's talking about his dad and, leaving it all on the line, like living your life, like use up to me, that's what it reminds me of. And so when we were in Italy, there was, I wanted it written in French or Italian. And it was like ne pas à l'indoucette or something like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Of course, now I'm on this Mamma Mia kick.
So now you're going to be tattooing Mamma Mia lyrics on your body?
Well, I just thought, just to, this morning we're waking up and driving. I love that song, Al Dente, Al Dente.
I've never seen Mamma Mia.
Oh, my gosh.
We'll have to rectify that.
Yes.
Maybe we can rectify that on the plane.
Yes.
I wonder.
I think it's on Netflix and it's leaving soon, so I don't know when. But so I was like, wonder what that means. Is that the guy's name? Because I listen to the music and not the lyrics. I'm like, I love this song and I want to sing along. So this morning I was intentionally trying to listen to the songs, the lyrics. So then I just looked it up and it means gently, slowly. It's a love song and it's repeated over and over, but it means gently and slowly or at a walking pace in Italian. So I was thinking about just...
And is that the love? Is that making love? What is
kind
supposed
of
to be
all
gently?
of it. I think it can represent, like, she's talking about hold me gently, hold me softly, tenderly. And so she's saying, this is how you love me. And I thought, that's beautiful. That's such a good reminder to be gentle with, love is precious. Love is...
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, that is total in conflict with my other do not go gentle. That's like...
Yes.
But I think that you could find harmony in both of that. Hey, it's 10-10.
Well, I do think you have different applications for different things.
Yes.
I do think you have to, if you go gently, right, through your life, you could never do the things you really want to do that your heart wants to do.
Right.
You could squander all of this precious time which we use for human experience. And we don't know what the experience is after life. Some people have those after-death experiences, but we don't. I guess we could ask people. And here comes the Nashville Fire Department.
I only see one on the horizon.
That's good. Hopefully another one's not following.
There's like a duality in that. And I was like, you know what? No, it's not.
And I do think there was a part of me thinking like, well, don't be too gentle with me. Be a little rough with me. And then I'm like, no, you're right. No, be gentle with be gentle with the love.
With the love, yes. Yeah. So I'm like, yes. As far as, but the do not go gentle, like, yes, passion.
Yeah, like I want to feel the passion.
I want to be, adventure. I want to feel like I've used up all of my life in a good way. I've used the gift that God gave me, and so that way is, do not go gentle. But the recipes how you. So I'm like, they can match.
No, I do.
They
I
could
do.
mix.
Yeah, I do like the hold my love gently. Don't abuse it or neglect it or drop it on the
Yes.
floor and then step on it with a chair.
Yes.
I do like that part.
Yes. Yes. It's a new way. So I'm like, I'm just finding all these ways to bring Mamma Mia. And I have never in my life had
gonna
a
have to watch it.
movie. I've never had a movie that I'm like, oh my gosh. Or like, I never remember quotes from movies. Like, I just don't hold those.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's entertainment. I mean, there's things that I love about certain movies where I'm like, oh my God, that was a great movie. But one to watch over and over again.
And I'm the opposite. I find that maybe because books, I know lyrics from books too, or lines from books, but I can take a line from a movie and then just apply it to my life everywhere.
Yes.
Because it's touched me. I've been touched by it.
Yes.
And it's made an impression where I think that's when I know I'm consuming too much in the book world, too much in the movie world if I can't remember. It's like, wow, did I just consume that in such a way that it didn't impact me at all, or was it a non-impactful book
Right.
or a non-impactful movie? There's no need for me to watch Marvel. So I will get into the movie thing in a second. We need to stop just remaking.
Wait, but I love Iron
movies.
Man. I know. And
I
think
do like Iron Man, but
'cause
we don't need
I love his
45
sense of
Iron
humor.
Man.
Yeah,
I do
well,
too.
I love his sense of humor.
I do too. I like what he does with Jarvis. That little, is it Jarvis? Is
Yes,
the little
it's
robot?
Jarvis.
I'm going to send you off to a community college. I like, I do like Iron Man, and that's probably the only Marvel that I like. But we don't need to have Batman made with another guy. We don't need Superman made
Right.
with another guy. I think, who are the two Supermans?
I don't know.
Christopher Reeves
Yes.
and Henry Cavill.
I don't know. I'm so bad with.
He's a Mission Impossible person. But I don't think we need to make another Spider-Man. How many Spider-Mans do we have?
That's true. Telling the story over and over again, and then but a lot of the movies are being remade. I think it's the same stories are being remade over and over and over again.
I know, but there are go to the bookstore, right? If you're
Yes.
at a loss for a movie studio, what should we do? Grab a book,
Yes.
read it, be like, hey, is this
This would be
interesting?
a great movie.
Throw it away if it's not. Grab another book. There are so many different stories that you are remaking Roadhouse.
I don't even know if I saw. Oh, that's with Patrick Swayze.
Yes, and I don't remember the other person in it, but I've successfully never seen it.
Me either.
And I successfully don't want to see it now.
But good marketing because we both know that Patrick Swayze's in it.
Right. And that's why I was like, I'm specifically not watching it. He wasn't manly man to me, so I didn't need him beating everybody up.
No, and the other person that I cannot stand, and people are like, I can't believe you don't like. I don't like Tom Cruise. I've never thought he was attractive.
I never thought he was attractive. I still don't think he's attractive, and I think it's because he's short.
I don't know if it's short. I think it's his attitude. Like,
But I like all of his movies, so I stopped saying
yeah.
I don't like Tom Cruise because I actually do like all of his movies.
I do. Yes.
Did
But
you see
something-
American Made? When he's the pilot who has to deliver drugs out of Colombia.
Oh, maybe it kind of sounds familiar.
That
but
was a great movie. I do like the Mission Impossible series, just like I like 007. I like that series too.
yes.
I don't like the 007 in a minivan with a kid. I was like, we can, not bring that to the franchise. That's my personal opinion. But so when we were talking about movies, I actually saw a musical the other day.
What'd you say?
Jennifer Lopez's movie. Jennifer Lopez has a movie.
What now? I gotta
This
look
Is
it
Me
up.
Now.
This is me now. Oh, I have to look it up.
I ended up seeing the behind the scenes by accident, or started to see it. And I'm like, oh, I'll watch this. This is interesting. This is a documentary about her making the movie. And it's not that I disliked J-Lo. I just didn't, her music wasn't my favorite music.
Right.
I mean, I do like some of her songs, but I was not buying her albums
Right.
or anything. And I hadn't realized that she hasn't made an album in 18 years. I always see her on the
18?
yeah.
Wow.
I always see her on the Super Bowl, and I see her everywhere dancing and throwing on a great show. She's an unbelievable dancer. I remember when she was on In Living Color as one of
yes.
those. What are those dancers called?
I don't know. I would say backup
The
singer.
Fly
like-
Girls?
Yes.
Was
I
it
don't
the Fly
know.
Girls?
It might be the Fly Girls.
I wanted to be a fly girl.
Yes.
While I was in college, I wanted to go and be a fly girl and come back to college.
Do you remember the Robert Plant video?
Yes.
Simply Irresistible. Yes, I wanted to be one of their girls.
We should do that one.
Yes. I'm actually thinking I want to do, like we talked about fishnets, and I'm like, I've never had fishnets, but I actually think I want to do fishnets.
Well, we might have to wear them into the studio, and I can give the finger to Lockheed Martin. Look at me, I'm wearing fishnets at work now.
Yes.
I didn't then. I don't know if I should be wearing them now, but and so I saw her story, the documentary. Nobody wanted her film, so she pitched it to everybody, and she's been in movies. Yes. Right, so she has Hollywood connections, and nobody wanted it.
She's done some rom-coms that were cute.
Yes, Monster-in-Law. That was with Jane Fonda, and Jane Fonda doesn't want her to be the daughter-in-law.
Oh, yes.
I thought that one was funny.
I was trying to think of one where I thought she was like a maid.
Okay, I haven't seen all of her movies.
I don't know. I'm terrible.
And you're talking about the 90s. I think she's been in more movies in the past than recently. But anyways, I think I think she works really, really hard. And I think she's really successful. So I wish her no harm. Right. Just so when I saw that it came up, I'm like, oh, I'll give this a few minutes. And I watched it. And I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know she had a new album in 18 years. And she made the new album. And so no studio wanted to pick up her movie. So she put up all the money herself.
Wow.
And then by the end of the movie, she got to sell it. And I thought that was a beautiful story in believing in yourself and investing in yourself, which we're talking about all the time. But if you think about your everyday life and you think, no one believes in me. Here's a person who's made movies, made records, made albums, sings in the Super Bowl. No one believes in her either.
Right.
Really, when you think about it. So you have to push your dreams forward. You have to invest in your dreams.
Yes.
That was my takeaway. And the whole point of the story was her falling in love with herself.
Yes.
Which is what we're always saying anyways.
Well, I do think that is our whole purpose. I think we all share a singularity. Our sole purpose is to become the best version of ourselves, to believe in ourselves, and to love ourselves. Mm-hmm. Whether that means, it doesn't mean that we got to be a gazillionaire and have it all.
And sometimes that doesn't mean we always give ourselves our way. Sometimes we need tough love.
Yes.
We need to have discipline and hard work.
I think the environment forces us to try to heal our wounds.
Or the lessons that life gives us.
Yes.
Forces us. Because if not, you're going to have the same problem over and over.
It's going to keep showing up. And you're like, well, why am I having this? It goes back to the resistance. There's something. So I think that everything starts from within.
Mm-hmm. I think all of our answers are within, too. So sometimes, although I can sound pretty bossy, I'm sure, on the radio, what I'm always doing is my intention, even though I don't execute it well, is to try to ask better questions so you find the answer for yourself. I don't want you doing exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Because you're not going to be happy. Because only the things that make me happy. They don't make everyone else happy.
Right. It's just...
But I do know most of the time what would make me happy.
What would make you happy? Clothes.
Well, travel. Travel. I think it would make me happy to somehow incorporate more fashion into my life in a business capacity.
Yes. Yes.
Not just in a expression personally, but in some kind of business capacity. I do, and this is going to sound so ridiculous, but I'm going to say it anyways.
I just said it last week.
Ready for ridiculous? One thing that I think, we had Meg, the founder of Love Lexi, on our show, and I was uploading it to Spotify, and I ended up listening to parts of it again because I was making sure it was going up. And there was a part how we talked about, we are not impressed with you putting these plus size models in lingerie or on the cover of swimsuit. Sports Illustrated.
Oh, Sports Edition. Well, we'll get it.
Swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated.
That's Girls Plain.
Yeah, because you were making a mockery. Because we were saying we would like to see someone other than perfection. And we weren't even saying it for Sports Illustrated. We were just saying in the model world, in the fashion world, can you show a representative of us?
Yes.
And then you go overboard and you're like, now you're mocking us.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I do think that there are certain brands, I wear them, there are certain brands that are sold in boutiques and they cost a dollar amount that most 20-year-olds aren't going to wear them. Right? They're going to be into the more disposable clothing, some cheaper stuff.
Yes.
They that's just the time period, I think. But my generation who, appreciates it fits right, it looks right, it's good quality, I can wear it over and over again, and I have the money to buy it, we want to see ourselves advertised in the clothing. I want to see a 50-year-old.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to see a 22-year-old in a 50-year-old outfit.
That's true.
And I wish that the Joseph Ripkoffs, the Clara Sunwoo, the Frank Lyman, like all of those brands would start using
age-appropriate models.
And don't use a 6'2" size 4 model. How about use a 5'5" size 6 model?
Right.
How about using a 5'10" size 10 model?
Yes.
Like what? The
Real
clothes
life.
look, the clothes look beautiful on those people. You should really let us see ourselves in that. So I'm gonna just say that's ridiculous. And if you need someone, you can do my hair, do my makeup, put the outfit on me. I'll march around.
Yes, I'll do it.
Even though I know I'm not a model. Can I tell you something funny?
Yes.
My father, you know how fathers are.
Yes, but
right?
I think you could be a model.
No.
Yes.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Some photos are so atrocious of me that I can't even believe that's me and that's the way I look. There is no way I need to be it has to be, a good angle, a good light.
Yes.
Everything else. They don't happen often. But with a professional photographer,
yes,
for in the proper setting, I'm sure we could get a couple to put out. But in general, no. And I'm not tall. I don't have long limbs, and I'm not extra thin, and I'm 52, actually. But anyways, so my father, every dad thinks their daughter's beautiful.
Yes.
But Linda Evangeliste, Cindy Crawford, they were those supermodel time period. My father disliked a Linda Evangelist so much he didn't like her nose. And he didn't like her haircut. And every time he would see her, in the magazine stand at the cigarette, because he used to buy his cigarettes at the magazine stand, he would see her on the cover and get incensed. So much to the point he contacted Ford Model Agency and made an appointment for me on a picture that he had. So they said, make the appointment. And he goes, see, they want to talk to you. I go, they're taking your money. Of course, for $150, they're going to sit down with me.
How old were you?
I was 19, right? So I go in with my girlfriend, who's 5'10". She was mixed race, and she's beautiful, right? So we sit down, and I'm like, come with me. This is ridiculous. This is going to take 5 minutes. So I go in, and the woman's like, your dad called us. I'm like, I'm sorry. Right? Because what he was doing is telling me how he would show my picture in the cab, and they would be like, yes, she's beautiful. I'm like, they're trying to get out of your cab. What are you doing showing my pictures to everybody in your cab? Stop it. But that's Dad.
But I love my little girl.
Right?
I'm proud of her.
So the woman says to me at the agency, you're too short. I'm like, I know. Like, this is just to satisfy my dad's thing. She goes, but hold on. She's like, you really have beautiful hands and feet. She goes, you have especially nice feet. Because I had worn sandals and my toes were done and stuff. She's like, and then she started pulling out foot model stuff. And at the time, I thought feet were so gross. I was like, no one is taking a picture of my feet. But when I look back on it, I'm so dumb.
Right. You could have been.
I could have made money.
You could have been like the top toe model.
Because I had small
in the United
feet.
States.
They were thin. I had long, I had... And she would show me, she's like, we can take some pictures like this and we can get you working. And I was like, I don't want anyone taking pictures of my feet. They're feet are, at the time, I believed feet was so gross, and that's why I had to manicure them the way I did and everything, because I'm like, who can stand feet?
Wow.
And it's now that I'm, probably at 40, I thought, I'm so stupid. I could have been making money while I had, right. No one was going to see my face. No one was going to know they were my feet. This was silliness. This is young, inexperienced, but the woman did say to my friend, we would take you. We would do some photos for you. And she's like, I'm not going to be a model.
And she didn't want to do it?
She didn't want to do it. Neither. So the woman's like, I could have done this with this woman, and I could have gone, there's not a ton of people with feet that we want to show. She was really pushing me hard on the feet. She actually had a whole book of
she
feet.
Had a foot fetish? Just kidding.
Well, someone did that she was trying to make some money off of, for sure.
Yes.
But isn't that funny?
It's funny how we we can look back and be like, man, if I had just gotten out of my own way. Like,
right, and I didn't know there was such a thing as a foot fetish either. And I just thought all feet are gross. Who wants to look at feet? Who's taking pictures of feet?
I know.
I didn't think there's a shoe industry. There's a nail industry.
Well, it might not be too late, Lisa. We can get back the fans only fans or wherever. I say it wrong every time. Whatever that way, it's either fans only or only fans. I guess there is a lot of, call for feet.
Yeah, that's so funny.
We could make some money later.
Hey, I'm not opposed to it now.
Right, but it's true. Like, you look back and you like, man.
But I had to tell my father, she said no.
I didn't tell him about the feet?
I didn't tell him about the feet. I just said she said no, but she did like my friend Liz.
I brought backup. I bought a replacement in case, just in case. That's funny. But that's so true. You think about how it reminds me, we're talking about getting out of our own way, listening to that book called The Surrender Experiment. He couldn't find a really good reason to say no, so that's not really the whole premise of it, but he leaned into different things. Like, well, why not? Like, I'll explore. And it really, the whole takeaway is keep an open mind. Mm-hmm. Keep an open mind, and we don't know we don't know what we don't know. Sometimes we
and
end
part
up
of my
selling
resistance at
short.
the time, and part of my resistance at the time was like, Dad, of course you think I'm beautiful. No one else thinks this. Like, stop it. You're like, stop showing my picture in the cab because you're 19 and horribly embarrassed. Because I would go to places with my fake ID, and the bouncer would say, yeah, your dad drove me here.
Get out.
Aren't you a freshman in college? Aren't you a sophomore in college?
Dad, you're ruining my scene.
Ruining everything. But he used to drive me sometime because I didn't drink and drive.
Yep.
And he was a cab driver, so he used to drive me all the time, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I used to be like, leave. Come back.
Was he cool with you having a fake ID?
Yeah, he was cool with me drinking. He used to buy me alcohol.
Yeah.
So his thing was, from a very young age, he's Italian, he would always offer me beer and wine. And then when I was 14, he's like, what is everyone drinking that you're drinking out in the world? Like when you go out with your friends. And I said, everyone's drinking wine coolers, Bartle and James wine coolers.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
So he says, all right, let's buy some. And we sat down in the yard on a Sunday at my grandparents' house, and we drank wine coolers. And after the first one, he's like, how do you feel? Tell me what you're feeling. And I was like, oh, I feel like warm and tingly. and then he took me to like drunk. And he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel all over the place.
Amazing.
But I felt like,
yes,
like almost like a sloppiness. That's how I know I'm drunk. I'm like, I have no edges.
Yes.
Right.
That's a good way to describe it.
And I feel like there's lead. Like the second drink makes me feel like someone pours lead into my veins and I get extra heavy. So he's like, that's buzzed. And then when I got to the third one, he's like, that's drunk. You never want to be that.
That's awesome.
So his point was, you're a girl. You're going to be out in the world. I don't want you not knowing your edges.
It's so good. Instead of taking, like, that's what we did. You take the no-no out of something. And it's like, I can't control. I can't, as a parent, we try so hard to control our children. And it's not about control. You are gifted to me, and you're going to be out in the world.
As you.
And all I can do is I'm here for bumpers. I'm here for guidance. And I think a lot of times, I'm sure you asked my kids, I'm probably messed it up a lot. But it was my heart, my intention. Mm-hmm. And it was, we offered, here, do you want to try? We'd go out to dinner and we would get a drink or something. And I said, do you want to try this or try that? And, as they got a little bit older, taking the no-no out of it is, not coming from a place of shame, because kids are going to experiment. Humans are going to experiment.
And when I did overindulge, my mother would make it so that I couldn't sleep. But my father always said, what happened? How did you get to this point? What were you drinking? And it was cheap liquor.
Yes.
Most always with orange juice. For some reason, extra orange juice always makes me vomity.
It's all the sugar. It's all the sugar and the alcohol, like the sugar.
But he would kind of like post-mortem what's happening there. And then I used to go out with my friends, and then when I got into college and we all had fake IDs and my dad would drive us, whenever we'd all get in the pile in the back seat of his cab. He'd be like, no puking. Whoever's the drunkest, get on the outside of the, puke out my cab. Don't
Smart.
puke in my cab.
It's true, but he's guiding you. He's giving you boundaries like, hey, I'm giving you a safe space to explore. Because a lot of times, so I grew up in Virginia, Lynchburg, Liberty University, Jerry Falwell was big, Jerry Falwell, pretty much owns the town. And it was just hearing some of the stories from the students at Liberty. There are a bunch of preachers' kids that have been
repressed.
Yes. Locked down, and then they have this sense of freedom and they don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, no, let's teach freedom. Let's teach responsibility. Let's teach you to have your own boundaries and set your own goals. And I'm like, that is such a beautiful gift your dad gave you, being able to, like, I can't stop you from what you're doing. I can't control what you're going to do, but here I can set you up for success.
Yes.
And to me, that's what real love is.
Yes.
It's not about controlling and forcing your will on someone. It's about helping them navigate their own journey.
Yeah. So his duality was he always talked to me like I was not a child. He always talked to me like he would talk to an adult. No baby voice, nothing. Conversations.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I'd be 20 and he'd be like, hold daddy's hand when we're crossing the street. It's like, Dad, I fly a plane. I go to work. I have 2 jobs. I have a car, an apartment. Like, I'm gonna cross the street all by myself, and he'd be like, "Don't yell at Daddy. Give me your hand."
Well, sometimes it comes out. It just comes out. My son is like,
"Don't yell at Daddy."
My son is like 6'1", and he says something. I'm like, "Oh, what's the matter, babe?" And it just happens so quick. Or you see something like we were walking. We were down in Boston, and she stepped off the sidewalk, and I went to just grab her arm real quick, and I'm like, she does this all the time. And so you don't mean to do it, but you get in there. And
yeah, I know. But I used to give him a hard time because my grandmother used to call me at work and say, I heard you were riding your bike on the street. And I was like, I was driving a car on the street. I'm flying a plane in the air. Please stop trying to, and I have my own place, Right. And so she would hear that someone saw me riding my bike, and she was like, why are you even riding a bike? You have a car now. And I was like, because I wanted to get some exercise and I had to pick up my check and I wanted to drive there because I'm working multiple jobs. There's no exercise, I'm trying to move myself here.
I'm trying to get in a workout.
Right. At the same time. And she's like, well, don't do that. You can't do that. I'm like, okay, hang up the phone. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going right now. I'm actually leaving work and then I'm going to go do that.
If it were a cell phone, I would be talking to you and walking.
Right,
and so now I would be
driving
more distracted.
But I always used to laugh at you're making no sense. And that's just the duality of, but you're still my baby.
Yes.
But you're out in the world.
Yes.
But you're still my baby.
Yes. Sometimes those come out. My grandmother, we'd come over to visit, and she was like, do you want something to drink? And I'm like, no, we're good. I'm good. Do you want some tea? No, I'm good. Do you want some water? No. Do you want some Coke?
And then they just give you a drink anyway.
Yes. It's just their way. And so I would say to my kids, it's just me. Just let me mother you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
This is my job.
I feel like you have a need that I need to fill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm searching. Are you hungry? You sure you don't want me to make you a sandwich?
Right. And I do think I have a little bit of that, even though I don't have children. And since I don't have children, I kind of, push that around a little bit.
It's
easy.
Yes.
It's easy. And that's why I say I can be kind of bossy because you're not even mine. And I'm,
you have the mother instinct.
Yeah.
You do. You're your mom. You are a mom. You just, the way that is the way that you love.
Mm.
And there's nothing like it doesn't, that's just is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
I don't see myself as a mom. I always think of myself as an auntie.
Yes. But it's that nurturing, it's that nurturing gift that you have. And so that's all it is. Yeah. So whatever label that you put on it, like you want to take care of people.
Yeah. I do like doing
compassion
that.
and empathy and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
All the nice spice. Hey, random question. What's your favorite fruit? Like, if you could only eat one fruit for the rest of your life, which would be your go-to?
Mango.
Really?
A good mango? Mm-hmm.
Actually, fresh mango.
Like wet, but not like drippy, because oranges sometimes when they're wet they could be drippy or they could be dry.
Yes.
But a good mango would probably be the flavor of it.
Sometimes I don't like when they're overripe. I don't like that mushy, and then it almost
It's like a
gets
slime.
too sweet.
Mm.
Gosh, I was thinking
Those are good for smoothies.
Oh, that would be good. Mine would be hard. A really good peach, where it's drippy and it's tangy and it's sweet. That would probably be my go-to.
So if I could have like a trifecta of favorites, it would be plum, cherry, and mango.
Ooh, cherry.
I love cherries.
I do too.
My grandmother had a cherry tree in her yard, and I would just pick them off the tree and eat them.
We did too. Or it was my grandmother or my uncle, and my grandmother would always say, "You're gonna get a bellyache if you eat." And oh gosh, the Concord grapes that you have to squeeze in, and the green is all slimy, and it has the little seeds inside of it. Oh my gosh, we would eat we'd get the big cups of those, like the big gulp. You remember those gut busters? That kind of size, and we'd sit on the swing summer days eating those and the cherries and watermelon. We ate a lot of.
So what's really funny is I can't do grapes with seeds, and for a long time I couldn't do watermelon because of the seeds, but I can do cherries with the seeds. I make no sense.
Wonder why.
But I've gotten over the watermelon seed. I have not gotten over the grape seed. I won't eat
Does
grapes
it
with seeds in it.
upset your stomach?
No, it's a texture thing in my mouth.
Oh, well, a lot of times you swallow those, you squeeze them, but I don't usually eat the peel, which is probably where all the nutrients are. I do
All the vitamins and phyto whatevers.
I'll find a way to not make it nutritious. Like I have a really good recipe for fried squash. Oh God, it's so good. It's probably the only way I eat squash. That's not true. I do saute it with some zucchini, and I put in like a little bit of a red sauce, like a little bit of garlic or a little bit of red sauce, and just kind of I don't like it when it gets really mushy, but zucchini and squash get mushy quick. Yeah.
They're all water.
And especially when you add liquid to it. So it's just like, but it's a really good flavor. And then you just sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan or Asiago on it.
So everyone's going to have tons of zucchini. They're going to be cheap. They're going to be at the farmer's market. You take a Vidalia onion and you saute it up. Not till it's all the way brown, but you're cooking it to develop some flavor with it and some olive oil. Add a little bit of garlic at the very, very end. Then pour that in the bottom of a glass baking dish, 9 by 12. Then you're going to take the ton of zucchini, squash, and tomatoes, and you're going to do...
They're coming back.
You're going to slice them probably not quite an inch thick, but 3/4 of an inch thick, and you're going to layer them so that it's green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red. And you're going to make rows and fit them all in. And then you're going to brush them with garlic, olive oil, and dry mustard. And you're going to bake it for 45 minutes. And it is to die for. You can add a little bit of cheese at the very, very end. But that is the best way. You're like, I have 12 zucchinis. I have all of these things. That's the summer produce. How do I make this again? And you can make a 9 by 12. You can even do the 11 by 13 if you have enough, and just serve that with some steak and stuff on the side. It's fantastic. It's so good.
I want to write that down because I want to try to make that.
It's really good.
It does sound really good. Love it.
And we're almost in summer season.
I know.
But it was, 28 this morning?
Yeah, it was a little brutal.
And I forgot to wear a jacket. I was lugging everything, and I'm like, I'm not going to go back in. It's going to be 70 degrees later.
Well, George had texted and said, hey, bring, dress warm. It's going to be cold. So I went and got one of those big scarves. I'm like, I'll just use a blanket. Then I got sidetracked, went upstairs and was talking to my daughter. And then came back downstairs. I'm like, wait, where's my blanket? Couldn't find it. I'm like, I got to go. So I left that too. But it is nice in here, and the sun's coming out. I love this time of year when you sit outside and the sun is out, you can feel the heat. The other day, it was a little bit, was it Sunday? So it was sunny, but it was breezy, the sun reflecting back off of our French doors, you could feel the heat coming off of it. And so I actually sat down on the patio and just sat there in that sun like, I'm going to get some vitamin D. Just took that moment to be like, yeah, I'm actually going to enjoy this spot right here. I felt like a cat.
Yeah, curled up in front of a window.
In the sun. Yes. And this morning, we have a heater. We have a vent in our closet. And it's underneath my skirts and like my pants that I want to hang up. So it comes all the way down to the bottom, and it's got all my beach cover-ups and all that stuff. So I was over there digging around this morning and I see this tiny little gray head peep out. They love to get under the register. The cats like to get under there, and it's dark and and
cozy.
She just pops her head out and like these little tiny eyes like, hi mama.
So cats can get up to like 140 degrees. They can get warmer. That's why they're always seeking sun. That's why they're always on top of cars.
Yes.
That's why they're always on heater vents. They can handle too warm is not warm for them.
Yes.
It's interesting because they have all that fur. You would think, what are you doing?
I know. And we keep it cool in our bedroom. So I know like in the mornings when they come up and their paws are cold, I know that they've been in our room for the night. And I'm like, I know where you slept.
They don't sleep on the bed with you?
No. Stella will occasionally. And I think that she actually gets on the other side. And I think she sleeps at Chris's feet. But I don't think that they like the movement. Because she likes to get close.
Yeah. Bosco does sleep with me. And then he decides when I need to get up. I think sometimes I'm having like a little bit of sleep apnea. And I think that's when he tries to wake me up. Because when I had my heart problem and I was having sleep apnea a lot, he was trying to wake me up a lot. And sometimes I would dream of drowning or dream that I was being suffocated or all my dreams were around not being able to breathe. So I think that was my subconscious. You're like, wake up. You're not breathing.
Yeah.
And then the cat's over there with the paw. But
Tap, tap, tap.
he does pretty good now. He wants to get up at 5 now. And he wants me to get up at 5.
Yeah, it's like they cycle. It's like they go and do this routine. And I think we have dog cats. We had them outside in the fenced-in yard the other day, and my son is chipping golf balls, and Milo is chasing them. And he'll go and attack it, and then he waits for him to hit it back, and then he goes and gets it, and he'll swat at it. And we took a little ping pong ball out there, and he loves it. I think we have a dog cat.
I taught a cat to play fetch.
Really?
I had pipe cleaners, and I made it into a spider, and I would fling it, and he would bring it back to me. And so I did that one day thinking, okay, how fun is this? Well, the next day, he's like, I'm ready to play fetch. I couldn't even make coffee. He kept dropping it everywhere in front of me as I was trying to work in the morning. I'm like, okay. And then I would start flinging it. And then that became this cat plays fetch.
Oh, my gosh.
And he would bring his toy over when he was ready, and he would drop it.
Yes.
You know? Okay.
Yes, they do bring. Sometimes if you don't get up when they get up, they'll come in. They haven't done it in a while. Like, I think they're always changing their routine.
Now they want to go out.
Yes, Chris let Milo out Sunday morning, and we haven't let them out in the mornings. It's usually in the afternoon, like when everybody's out. And it was in the summer, and they just cried. You really want them to have this experience, but I'm like, why can't you just stay in the yard?
Yes,
because he will jump the fence in the back where it goes down a little bit lower, and I'm like, God forbid Stella gets in a tree. Well, I don't know how we're going to get her down because she's not going to get down.
No, they never do.
No.
Eventually, like 2 days later, they will, but you have to listen to them cry.
Oh, God, I can't do that. My dad tied a laundry basket, like a rope, and made like a pulley thing and lifted it up to get my cat down because this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And of course, I'm not sure who was crying louder, the dog, the cat, or me. So he finally is like, I'm getting up. We're going to get this cat down in the middle of the night.
We had a neighbor have a bunch of kittens and they got stuck up our tree. And then I was like, go up and get them. So John went up with a bucket. Put all the kittens in a bucket, loaded the kitten down, and I loved them all before I gave them back to the neighbor. I'm like,
I'm going to love you and you and you.
I told you when I was coming back from Aruba, there was a woman. Was it Aruba? I'm pretty sure it was Aruba.
Yes, you just on your flight.
Yeah. And she had a bag of kittens, a whole bag of them in one bag. And so she's pulling them all out because they have to see inside the travel carrier. And she's holding like 4 or 5 kittens. And I go, ma'am, do you need some help with your kittens? And the TSA woman was like, get back. And I'm like,
no.
and then she goes off, and I'm thinking, what is that story? Is every time she go to Aruba, she comes back with a bag of kittens? What's going on with that?
Yeah, because I thought they had to be. Don't they have to go to like some kind of quarantine, or they've got to be tested before they can even go to the airport? Because
they weren't like 6 weeks old kitten, but they weren't 6 months old kittens either.
But you think they're strays?
I don't.
Because we had
beautiful.
a lot of we had a lot.
I think it was someone who spends her winters down in Aruba and was like, these cats are coming home. That's what I think. But I couldn't find her again to ask her. I'm like, this would be a perfect radio story.
If they made it easy, we would now own a dog from Mexico, from Cabo. We would own we'd own a dog from the Dominican, and another dog from Jamaica. The cat, we would feed him every day. Like, we'd see him.
Well, I told you my cousin gives me very specific instructions. We're going to go to this restaurant. There's going to be dogs. They're going to stare at you. Don't make eye contact with them and don't feed them. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Right. You're like, okay, as we feed them.
I'm not going to be able to do that. And I found these 2 cats in one of the restaurants, and my steak was terrible, actually, that night. And so I'm like, cats like terrible steak. And I went out and I fed the cats the leftover steak.
Yeah, our cats don't like terrible steak.
Well, they're well-fed cats. These were starving Aruba cats.
Stella likes green peppers. She likes.
That's strange. Actually.
She loves to get, and she loves to stick her face in a bag of carrots.
Mm-hmm.
They won't eat the carrots, but they like to sniff at it. And sometimes when I'm pulling a rotisserie chicken apart, and I'll give them a piece, or they were eating it,
Mm-hmm.
like they would eat it, and now they're like, they sniff it and walk off. I'm like, really?
I'm not in the mood.
No, I'm like, wow. You're supposed to be a carnivore, dude, aren't you? Don't you want meat?
Not even that hungry. I'm not even that hungry right now.
No, but I'm going to cry for mommy for treats.
I want Doritos. Do you have any Doritos?
Well, it's funny. They have these. We get the Temptations little treats. And I'm like, if they could read, they don't know anything else as a treat or anything. So we're doing voiceovers when, Milo's begging for his cookies, his treats. Like, can you ready? Mom, can I have some Temptations?
You had a fantastic voiceover of the turkey in your yard.
That was cute.
Look at these feathers.
I know.
So I did post it to our story. I'll also post it online for
you?
Instagram. Yeah, it was great because we were talking about birds mating in the yard, and you got that great video of the turkey. I'll post that if you didn't see it on the stories.
Actually, what we were doing, my son and I had gone for a walk, and the cats were wanting to go outside, so we put them in their stroller, went for a walk, and so both of them were in the stroller watching them, and we stayed there for like 10 minutes. Usually the male turkey will raise and lower their feathers a few times, but it was a good 10 minutes that he was up, and I said to my son, I'm like, I think we're going to see some turkey porn here. I'm getting ready. Because the two ladies were off to the left, and then one, she just broke hard right and walked right in front of him. And I'm like, and she kind of just slowly walked over and kind of out of his sight. And so he started turning around. He's like, hey, I'll come back and follow her. And I'm like,
Susie, we do this every year.
Yes.
I love that. Did you post that to YouTube?
I did, and I don't know if it was the timing or what. It only got 3 likes.
Oh.
And I'm like,
maybe there's no market for
3
turkey
views.
porn. Maybe there's no market for turkey porn on YouTube.
Maybe I used the wrong hashtags, but
Maybe.
I'm like, it's got. I did post it on my page, and I think it's got like 497 plays on it or something. But
Stupid algorithm.
yes, and I can't get past like 230 something on any TikTok I've been putting out. And
You've been banned though, because you're getting taken down a lot on TikTok.
yes, literally. So when I posted the same day that I posted the my Russian voice.
I love the Russian voice.
Oh my gosh, I posted it. It had 70, so I posted it. I went back over to post it on, so I made it in there. I posted it on Facebook. So after I was still on TikTok, I had like 77 views. I posted it on Facebook, came back to it, and they shut it down. It says inappropriate content, and it shut it down. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's so much profanity. I think there's 1 cuss word in it.
That you can barely even hear.
And I'm like,
because the voice gets, when you use that filter, the voice also
Yes.
filters too. So you really have to pay attention to that voice.
yes.
Well, I don't know. You know how I
So
feel
I'm
about
like,
it. You know
whatever.
how I feel about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that again.
So I'm like, you're hurting yourself, and now again, you want me to vote for you? No.
Absolutely
And
not.
so I think that they are messing with my algorithm.
Oh, definitely. I don't think you're getting seen there.
Yeah. I had
What is one way you treat yourself?
I try to treat myself pretty good.
But is there anything you're like, oh, that's a treat?
Dessert.
Okay. So it's not like a facial or
Um,
massage or something?
Clothes.
Mm.
Retail therapy. Or like, and I also like treating myself is like, I love rollerblading. I love exercise. I love being outside. So walking by the water, like to me, I feel like those are a treat. And especially if I have somebody that I love with me, like some of my people, that's a treat to me. Like, so it doesn't have to be money wise. Yes. Getting my nails done, which I rarely do because I like to dig in the dirt. And what about you?
I think massage is a treat. I do my nails so regularly, I don't feel like it's a treat because I just do it regularly now. But I like massages as a treat. I like facials as a treat.
But when you say it because I do it regularly, like why does it not become a treat? Like, see, I think that we should
Because
treat
I think it's
ourselves
like
every day,
right,
but not.
That's a good
I mean,
point.
extravagant like that way.
Right.
So that's where I'm. So I am on
because
this.
I used to think it was a treat. I used to do my own nails, and then when I would go to a salon, it'd be a treat.
Yes.
So that's why I think I've changed. I don't do my own nails anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yes, it's true. I was thinking like that's. Yeah, I can't go out and treat myself to a new outfit every day, especially what I actually like versus like, because we would be, we'd be living in a tent, but I would have a killer outfit.
You'd have
every
a tent
day.
full of clothes.
Yes. Yes. Every day. No, but so I just started like looking at this thing. I haven't dived deep into like why I have such an adverse reaction to punishment, but looking at things negatively.
Were you punished a lot as a child?
No.
Interesting.
No. I mean, no.
Maybe it just doesn't work for you. You know that rewarding you works better than the opposite
Yes.
of. So some people believe that they can motivate through fear or punishment or, if you don't do the thing I want you to do.
Right, getting angry fuels you. I
Yes.
mean, and yes, anger does fuel me sometimes. Like, but I think the easiest thing is, well, it goes back to being gentle with yourself instead of like, how can I look at this? If I'm trying to incorporate more joy in my life, then it is going to require me to look at things differently. So there have been times where I'm sleepy at night and I actually get really excited about like, I can't wait to wake up in the morning and have my coffee. Like it's the whole ritual of it. It's the morning routine that I have set for myself. And I look at that as a treat because I'm like, I guess.
I think the ritual of tea or coffee is so important that I don't know how people buy their first coffee out.
I think it's grounding. I think it is. I think it grounds me. And
Well, to leave the house to go get the thing that you need
right.
first thing in the morning
Right.
is archaic to me.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I'm going to have to encounter people.
The only time that's an
lines?
exception is when it's a hotel.
That's true.
Because
But I do feel thrown off. I have to remind myself that
Yes.
I'm not thrown off, that this is a different ritual.
Yes.
Because
so we're
I
not.
could.
Yeah. Crystal will say, "Do you want to go for a ride? We'll go get coffee." And I'm like, "No, I want to go do my thing. I don't want to." And I'm not a good walker and drinker. Like so. I'm, most of the time it's hot and it's full, and now he wants to talk, and I want to take a sip, and we're going downhill, and I'm like, I'm just not a good, I'm not a good walker and drinker.
I'm not going to be that coordinated.
You need me one of the helmets with the straws that come down.
They
if
have
you
the
want me
beer cans on two things. You have
Yes.
coffee on two.
Yes. Or Diet Dr. Pepper in one, or my coffee in the other. Let's go.
I used to drink Diet Pepsi at breakfast.
Oh, well, I used to drink, so I had to be at the lab at 6 in the morning, and that was in Londonderry, and I lived in Mount Vernon. So that was a hike in the winter. So getting up at like 4 o'clock, really 3:30, I needed something, and I wasn't a coffee drinker. And so I was chugging a Diet Dr. Pepper at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, this is just, it's not hitting the spot. It got cold in the winter, and I'm like, it wasn't doing the same thing. So I started drinking coffee, more like creamer with coffee, and heating it up, and then it was like, well, I guess you really do get addicted to it.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are. 10 years later.
Where if there's not coffee here, what are we doing? Someone's got to get me coffee.
Right. But I feel like I made it to my 40s before I became a coffee drinker.
Yes. So you didn't have that the whole first half of your life?
No, not growing up. I never drank coffee. And still now, there's a couple of times in the afternoon, like, oh, I could go for a cup of coffee. It's like, especially on a cold, yucky, gray day, but it doesn't hit the same. So I'm like, I don't. I'll make it, and then I take 2 sips, and I'm like, no.
I like iced coffee in the afternoon.
Yes.
But then I'm like, oh, I'm kind of amping myself up.
I can't get behind the cold coffee, like, because I started drinking it, and it's warm, and it's the only warm thing I do drink. I don't drink. Sometimes if I drink, like,
you don't drink tea?
I used to drink tea a lot. I used to love Darjeeling and Earl Grey, and then I'm just like, it doesn't have that same comfort spot, that doesn't have the same draw. Although I do like hot tea with a little bit of cream and sugar in it. I do like that.
Well, I've switched over from hot tea to cold tea. I always have cold tea here a little bit later in the day, but my first drink of the morning in the winter has to be hot to just kind of make things move.
Is your tea sweetened?
I'm out of sweetened tea when it's cold, but I do still do tea with sugar when it's hot.
See, we do, growing up in the South, sweet tea is big.
I love sweet tea.
So my grandmother always had tea, and it was like you would suck that thing down like water, like it just goes down.
And I used to make sweet tea.
So
Not your sweet tea, but my sweet tea. Because I still don't think I had as much sugar as you.
A cup of sugar per gallon. And so we would get the big pickle jars, because I couldn't find another I actually didn't even think about it. But to make sun tea, I would use the big gallon glass jars, and you just fill it up with water. And I put my sugar in it first, just because the heat will help dissolve it a little bit. And then I put 6 tea bags in it, and then I let that sit in the sun, and then we bring it in. It's so good.
Yeah, I used to do a half of a cup. And I remember when people used to see me pour it in, they would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, your Coke has this much. Your soda has this much sugar in a can. This is over a whole entire gallon. Quiet down.
Yes.
But people then didn't want to drink it because they thought you could just see the white sugar being poured in it. And I knew, I was like, this isn't even as bad as this half of sweet tea.
Right.
If you were from the South, but I love sweet tea.
Oh, yeah. And I don't like lemon in my tea.
I do.
I mean, I like the slice of lemon in it. I don't like when they infuse it with like lemon. Like
I agree with you.
The lemon tea and all that stuff.
I don't like that.
It tastes artificial to me.
And I like just a very specific amount.
Yes.
And that's why I think one of the better things about cooking for yourself or anything is it's exactly like you like it.
Yes.
That's why I'm always a proponent for you eating for yourself or, making your own food or making your own drinks, is because you can have it exactly the way you want it.
Yes. And that makes it really hard to take it outside, like take it to a different restaurant. So I always try to get something for dinner out that I don't make at home.
Yes.
Because that's important.
I did just make a dinner we only got out at the Venetian Moon with the port sauce.
Ooh, you have to tell us when you come back.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys when we come back. We are going to the top of the hour. This is Lisa and Robyn on the mic every Thursday on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Spotify. We'll see you in a bit.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped. Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5-6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Former President Trump's immunity claims case goes before the U.S. Supreme Court for arguments on Thursday. Trump claims that he cannot face prosecution for anything done while in the Oval Office if he's not first impeached by the House and convicted by the Senate. Trump's attorneys will argue before the court that the former president should not face criminal charges for alleged election interference. A new indictment is filed against alleged fake electors for Donald Trump in Arizona.
Justice demands an answer to the efforts that the defendants and other unindicted co-conspirators allegedly took to undermine the will of Arizona's voters during the 2020 presidential election.
Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, in a video posted on X several weeks after the election, the 11 people got together and dubbed themselves to be the real Arizona electors and pledged that all 11 of their votes went to Donald Trump. Among those facing charges is Kelly Ward, who served as chair of the Arizona GOP during the 2020 election. The Speaker of the House is joined by fellow Republican politicians at Columbia University amidst tense protests there. On Wednesday, Speaker Mike Johnson said college students should not be forced to live in fear because of pro-Palestine protest groups and called on the university's president to be held accountable.
And calling on President Shafiq to resign if she cannot immediately bring order to this chaos.
The demonstrators are demanding the Biden administration pull its support back for Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza due to reports of Palestinian suffering. The U.S. government is already poised, though, to send another round of more than $20 billion in foreign aid to Israel as the conflict with Hamas continues. This is USA News.
Hey, here's a question. After you wear your clothes, you toss them in the washing machine, right? Nobody wants to wear dirty clothes. So how come you don't throw your shoes in the washing machine when they get dirty? I mean, come on. Your shoes are touching the filthy ground all day long. Gross. Well, with Skechers, you can. Because most Skechers are machine washable. That's right. Skechers are specially made so you can toss them right in the washing machine and keep them clean and looking new. And when they look new, you can confidently wear them longer. That's less shoes you're going to want to throw away, which means less waste. And it'll save you tons of dough. I love that. Plus, machine washable Skechers are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. So when your kids get their shoes dirty, and we know they will, just wash them. Brilliant. And even our latest technology, new hands-free Skechers slip-ins are washable. You just step right in and go without bending down or even touching your shoes. So give your Skechers the same treatment you give your clothes. Just toss them in the washing machine and keep them looking brand spanking new. Find machine washable Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear happens to be sold.
I am Elena Dries, nurse practitioner at Altrix Primary Care, located right here in Nashua, New Hampshire at 57 Northeastern Boulevard. At Altrix Primary Care, we are dedicated expert nurse practitioners who provide high-quality, comprehensive primary care services for people of all ages, from newborns to older adults. Our nursing model of care is distinctive because it's unhurried, high-personalized, easily accessible healthcare for you and your family. Visit us online at altrixpc.com/Nashua or give us a call at 603-821-4600. 4009. That is 603-821-4009. Alltrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The service provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
Looking for the best deal in Nashua? Visit the River Casino and Sports Bar. Watch the game, have a bite to eat, or take a chance on our table games, Roulette, New Hampshire 21, and New Hampshire Hold'em. Be sure to visit from 4 to 7 each day for our expanded prime time. $2 slice of pizza, $3 domestic bottles, $4 well drinks, and a selection of appetizers for $5. Visit us online, therivercasino.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome back to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Spotify,
iHeartRadio,
and something else.
Yes, please like and subscribe.
And Spotify gives you an option to rate. Like you can give it stars.
Yes. I give you a 5.
I give you a 5. That's 2 5s.
2 5s.
Did you remember Spuds McKenzie?
Oh my gosh, yes. The little weird dog.
The fictionalized terrier.
Yes.
And did you know Spuds McKenzie was a girl? They were fictionalizing her to be a girl.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't know that. How did you find that out?
Because
it's a random fun fact.
It is a random
add
fun
that
fact.
with the chicken.
Right. I should have saved it for a Friday.
The headless chicken.
I was looking up because we were kind of talking about, children and parents and guiding people. And my parents did not like the fact that I had a Spuds McKenzie shirt because I paid for it. And guess why?
Why?
It's not because they were advertising alcohol. So Spuds McKenzie was a fictionalized terrier dog that Anheuser-Busch made an ad campaign, and it was a demographic. They were choosing a very young demographic. Who would care about this cool young dog?
Right.
Not 35-year-old men who were
True.
Probably normal
True.
Anheuser-Busch, but a younger generation. And Senator Thurmond actually posed to get this out, and it says you're targeting children. Right? And I think they saw it as an opportunity because we were all buying the clothes. I was 14. How did I? And my Catholic school made it a rule that we could not wear that because we were advertising alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
But that's not why my parents were mad. My parents were mad because I spent money to advertise a company.
Wow.
And ever since then,
wow.
I always think of, the Harley shirts.
Yes.
You go, every city you go to, you get a Harley shirt. Well, you're paying $68 to advertise Harley.
Yes.
And of course, we take that as, of course, nowadays. But back then, it wasn't done.
But did
it was
we
like
even
the beginning
11-11? Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
That was 10-10, now it's 11-11. And I swear I did not set that. Now I just lost all my thought. Well, no, but I don't think, I think that listening to you, I think that your parents were very forward-thinking, progressive people for their time frame.
Absolutely. My parents had very little in the way of education. My father had to quit school.
But yet they sound like they're so
intelligent. Well, they both had Mensa IQ.
Insightful.
Yeah, so my mother had a higher IQ than my father, and my mother was, 147 or something. She had an unbelievably high IQ. My father was high, but not that high. And that was like kind of the running joke of, well, I'm smarter than you. And they were both she didn't go to college. And he never went past the 8th grade because he had to go to work to help care financially for his family. And I didn't know he didn't go to high school. So he didn't even have a high school education. So I think it was the combination of not being allowed to go to school, not being allowed to get this education, which some people, the elite people had it, they were the Harvards and all those, that they read. They read varied, wide. My father used to read physics books. Who does that?
Just very intellectual in a desire for learning. And I just think, I do actually, and I don't mean to education system, but I do think school ruins learning.
Well, there's a country, and my friend did this for her thesis in school, that the more education people have, the less curious they are.
That is true.
And their drive and thirst for knowledge wanes with the more education that they have. When you cut it off of like, okay, you've been educated, people are like, well, no, there's more information that I want.
Yes. I think we lose that sense of curiosity, and I think that it's true. My stepfather was such a smart man, like, Mensa, high IQ. He skipped his master's and graduated his PhD at Notre Dame in nuclear science.
Oh my goodness.
So he was just incredibly smart. He didn't have a lot of people skills.
Yes.
In a lot of interpersonal, and he lost, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he was very curious because he's had some great and amazing adventures and been all over the world. He didn't know how to live in that space all the time. It was always an educational, it was always an intellectual.
A tutorial. Life was a tutorial.
Yes. And he would share stories. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of being in the moment, he was like, and he has great stories and he's a great guy, but he couldn't be in the moment. It was always, I had to tell you something. I have to be smarter than you.
He was the beginning of mansplaining.
Yeah. You have to be the, yes. And I'm like, man, I mean, there were times though when you could get him out of that space.
And just enjoy himself?
Yes, we were grown adults, and I was staying at my mom and his house for a short period of time, and at nights. And so he always grilled. He always grilled and he's always a great chef. Like he did, he would marinate and put shrimp on skewers, and we would do he did a spicy honey mustard thing or a teriyaki glaze. Then he did swordfish and tuna steaks and all. I mean, all kinds of stuff every night. And they would stop on their way home at the market and get fresh vegetables. And so dinner time around at that period of time in my life, it was always a production. And it was always I always felt like it was a feast. Like everybody's coming together. He's in charge of the meats. Mom is doing the vegetables. I come in and I pitch in. And we come in and we sit outside on the deck, have a glass of wine, good food. That's probably where that cemented it in.
It's almost like every dinner was a celebration.
Yes. And it was a treat. And I'm like, so that's why maybe that's just has been there. Like maybe I did see the world like that before I
made it for yourself.
Set an intention for it. But then at night, sometimes this is the part, like when you could actually get him out of it and just be him, and not all your education, not all your training, just you. Who are you without all of those other
He's
things?
like, my brain is always thinking about nuclear.
So do you know what we would do?
What?
We would turn out all the lights. And I'm like 20 years old now. I'm 20, 19, 20, 21. We'd turn off all the lights, and we'd play hide and go seek in the house.
That's hilarious.
And he would love to scream. And so his dad, he would love to scream, gotcha, or boot, like to scare you even more if he found you. And it was just, we had so much fun. And there were times where, so, you know, I look back and he was probably 50, in his 50s. And it doesn't snow a lot in Virginia. And so when we would get a snowstorm, they would get out in the hot tub. And I think about this, looking back, is like, I love that story. My parents are in their 50s and they're outside in the snow making snow angels. And I'm like, man, if you can just tap into that a little bit of that every day and see that, to me, that's living in joy. I don't think everything has to be like we forget that we're the artist and we're painting our own picture. And sometimes we don't change brushes. We always think that we have to have this one brush to paint.
Yes. I was just trying to think of who said it. I didn't say it, and I can't remember who did. But
well, that's all right. We're great for butchering quotes and
and so I'm gonna
mismatching.
Yes. It's every story has two faces: tragedy and comedy. Tragedy, you die. Comedy, you get hitched.
Yeah.
And I always think life is full of tragedy. I'm trying to make my story a comedy. But I know that it's a tragedy because we all die.
Yes.
So whenever I think of life, I'm always trying to bring the comedic side. And sometimes my comedy is pretty dark, depending on what I'm going through.
That's true.
But I had a friend, she recently went through a divorce, and we were talking about, I had called her and I said, hey, I've been less than my charming self. And she's like, how could that be? And I said, I kind of binge watched podcasts trying to learn a little bit more about stuff. And now I'm angry and anxious and upset. And now I want to tell everyone all the stuff I know. But they're only going to be angry and anxious and upset. So I don't think I should share any of this, And so we were talking, and she said, she had gone through some stuff, and she was saying that she was less than charming. And I was like, never. Even through that whole thing, because you always found the humor. And she's like, yeah, but it was dark. And it's like, yeah, but I like dark humor.
Yeah.
I laugh with you when you call for the line that you can't tell anybody. I feel like if anyone heard me say this,
yes,
they would think I'm, XYZ. You call me, and we have a good laugh.
I think in workplaces, number one, I think hospitals, in the medical field, hospitals, labs, anything in the medical field.
Like ambulance drivers have really good senses of humor, dark.
Yes.
But people who deal with know that how fragile and transitory and limited life is.
But I think using that, and because sometimes when I was working at the lab, and even like some of the stories when I was working in the dentist office and stuff, it's so much pressure. You're under so much pressure to get it right. Like, this is somebody that's waiting to find out whether they have cancer or not. And if you don't do the testing right, if you don't spin the blood down and you don't get the platelets just right, or you rupture the red blood cells, and it can construe, anyway. So you do that 20 or 35 times a day with a patient. I would drive home some days and my hands, my knuckles are white, just clenched, just because I've been in that space, and I'm like, it's hard to let go. Like, you've just been, high performing for such a long time, and then it's like having that dark humor. And Chris is like, "Oh my God, that's so. Why would you even say that?" I'm like, it's actually a release. It's being able to not take it in, because if I let it hit my heart, I would be a mess.
Yes,
I would be an emotional mess, and so I think that's where I see it the most in any healthcare or like service-based industry. It's a way of like letting off the steam, trying not to let life be so serious, and you not absorbing it.
Well, sometimes I think this all has to be a comedy, because if not, we're all just going to cry.
Right. Right.
And that's where I kind of, I have a family story that my family wrote me out of an obituary.
What?
Right. And I couldn't.
Damn, Lisa, that's
right?
bad.
So when you wonder why I'm not part of my family, my birth family isn't part of my life, that'll give you an indication. So, and nobody wants to tell me, like the people I am talking to, no one wants to tell me that this happened. So everyone's just ignoring me, and I'm trying to get a hold of everyone. And we have email and cell phone and social media, all of these different things. And there's all these ways you're ignoring me now, right? So now I'm getting upset. So I'm like, I'll just look it up myself. And I look up the obituary, and that's how I find it. I wouldn't have even known until I showed up, right? And so I start laughing because I thought, if I ever had any guilt for these people not being part of my life, that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? Because these people, this is how they think.
Yes.
They think we're just going to write you out of our family. In an obituary, that is a legal document for what's happening. Right. That's
It's
how people
also
know.
legacy. Right.
That's how people know, hey, you lost so-and-so. I should go to the funeral because your name's part of it.
Well, it's also how you trace your lineage, too. Yes. It's one of the ways you trace your lineage. And it's like, people are just so short-sighted. I'm going to be petty.
Right. So this pettiness and whatever. So I call my friend. I called John, and I tell him, and I'm laughing. He's like, Lisa, this isn't funny. This is like a really serious offense. And I'm like, no, it's hilarious, because anytime I've ever doubted my judgment about my survival and what I had to do for my own survival, anytime I judged it or felt guilty about it, that was silly.
Yes.
Look at this. And I laughed.
Yes.
And then I call my friend, and I tell her, and she's like, I don't know why you're laughing. This is horrible. And I'm like, but it is actually funny. Because what's the alternative? You cry that your family is pretending you don't exist.
You be hurt and wounded, and then you wear it. You wear that, and you harbor the resentment. Here's yeah, I'm going to say it on the radio. I don't care. I have an aunt that has refused to speak to my mother for, I don't even know. And then she just gets mad. She gets mad at one sister, and then she stops talking to them for years and years. And it's just, she badmouths every single one that she's, whoever she's talking to, she badmouths all the other people. And my mom is stressed and got upset, and for so many years. And I'm like, just because they're blood does not mean you have to have a relationship. This person is poison. Mm-hmm. And all of her children unfriended us too and blocked us on social media. And I'm like, great. I hope you just made my life better.
Yes.
I don't want to have your negativity and I'm like, so they're not there to support you. It's something about, it's how they are feeling, and they've got to take it out on you. Whether it's jealousy, whether it's their own sense of inadequacy, or I don't know what
in
makes somebody do that.
So in my family, I boiled it down to they needed a villain, but they can't blame the people that might be doing something wrong, because then that would also be a mirror to them as a parent.
Yes,
right. Because if this is a product of me specifically, yes. And if this is a problem,
don't do anything that will reflect back on how.
Or even the person who's doing the action, you could hold them accountable for what they're doing. You could hold them accountable,
right?
But we're not going to do that, because we protect this thing at all costs. So we're going to blame you. And you're like, what the hell over here? How am I a black sheep?
Yeah,
what am I doing? And I just
think black sheep's always trying to find each other.
I do think that too.
I feel like a black sheep.
Well, I feel like, were you just kind of on the out for no reason? And I think that,
yeah. Why did they write you out of the,
because I was disagreeing about my mother's drug addiction, how we were handling that.
Oh.
And what I had said at the time was, she's your daughter, sister, aunt, cousin. You have a different relationship.
Right.
She's my mother. I'm allowed to have a different relationship.
I lived with it every day.
I lived with it every day. And she negatively affected my life. She destroyed my father. There's a whole, I can be upset.
Yeah.
I'm letting you have your relationship. Why can't I have my relationship?
Right.
And anybody who goes through something like a drug addiction or a drinking problem or a gambling problem, they have to hit a bottom, usually, to get better.
Yes.
Right? If no one is holding her, where is her bottom if you're all just constantly picking up the pieces all of the time? When can I have my mother back?
Right. Right.
The original one, the person.
Because we we end up doing things for ourselves that serve us and not seeing that. You know,
and I was saying, I'm trying to hold her because I was at a time in my youth, I was saying, I have now lived with this for X amount of time. I'm an adult. I don't have to. I can remove myself from the situation.
Right.
Now, what I was hoping, maybe, hey, I have no relationship with my only child. Maybe I should work on myself. That's what I was hoping would happen.
Right.
But when you're all getting together acting like I'm some evil person and glad I'm not here or whatever else.
It's a squeaky wheel. It's the one that says,
And I'm oversimplifying a lot of problems that way.
Well, just being painting a broad picture just because, there's no need to share all the details. The truth of the matter is, what we forget is that everybody has an experience of us, and everybody experiences it differently.
And you also have different relationships. A husband's relationship is going to be different with his wife. It's going to be different with his children. And that's why I think you did such a great job never bringing your relationship with your ex into your relationship with your children, always respecting that that's their father. And some people don't do that in a divorce. They make sure that there's nothing left of the other side.
Yeah.
And I always joke that when you're one of my friends, I have several friends and their adult children love being with them. And I always think, I can't relate. I couldn't get away from I could not, I couldn't wait to get away from these people.
Yeah.
As fast and as far, right? And I always think to myself, there must be a whole generational reason why we've really loved our children to the point that they don't feel the need to kind of go off on their own because they have such a wonderful relationship with their family.
I think part of it is us. Because I think that when we go and we have children or we go out into the world as adults, we try to be the parent that we needed, whether for ourselves or for our children. So sometimes we seek our intimate relationships or friendships that meet that need. Sometimes we put that into our children. But I also think that society has changed too. The economy and everything is so. I feel like the recipe is, so maybe we've been a little bit more nurturing and attached to our children and not rushing them out of the door. But also, it's
and that
so
your children
hard.
are not dying to get away.
Right.
Like my parents weren't officially rushing me out the door, but I was like, I cannot wait to get away.
Somebody said to me, and it might have been you. Somebody said, the mother's job is to nurture and, kind of cultivate the environment, the temperature. And the dad's job is kind of to kick them out of the nest because they're less emotionally, I wouldn't say emotionally tied. They don't have the same emotional connection, so they can come across.
I think that they have the emotional connection, but just like my dad wanted to make sure I was going to be okay as an adult, I think the mother will always
pacify, like nurture.
Protect.
Yes,
Protect.
and guys, that's what I'm saying. Like they don't have it's not that they don't have the skill, but I think men's roles in a family unit are beautiful because I think part of them, however they do it, is designed to push them out.
Yes.
And I think that's a role for a guy. I mean, for both parents.
Yes.
But I also think that that's their superpower.
It is.
It's their strength.
And I think there is something about when there's not men in the fold, good dads, good uncles, good grandparents, and there's no other side to the coin.
Yes.
So it's less nuanced, it's less detailed, there's less layers. And I think the beauty of a mother is protection, but at some point it becomes smothering.
But I also think that as their partner, I think the guy's role is to help her.
Yes.
in that transition.
To know that her kids are okay as adults, that you did your best, and now they're going to go make their own mistakes and their own beauties and joys, and because there's no life without problems, self-made or other, right? Life throws problems at us, and we make our own problems.
Yes. We compound.
Yes, we do compound. Is there interest on this? Wait, can I make interest on this problem?
Hold up. Can I make this more difficult for myself?
How can I make this more difficult?
Yes. Yes.
How can I get in the way of this? Hold on one second. Let me go back into my computer brain and figure out how I can.
Well, this morning, just funny. I had a petty moment this morning. And I'm like, here I am singing Mamma Mia. And I'm like, oh my gosh, go gently and love and bohemian and blah, and all that stuff. So they're doing road work right down here, and the left lane is closed. And so you're coming down the hill onto Main Street just before you get to the traffic. And the car in front of me, I saw him get over because he saw it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get in behind him. So I wasn't quite, so I was kind of like my bum was still in the left lane. And this white little SUV comes screeching to a halt past us. Now, there's like 4 people at the red light, and she or he happens to be his tail of his car. The bumper of his car is at the beginning of my car. So I can kind of see he's sitting right there, and he's got his blinker on, and I'm like, you're going to bully your way all the way to the top. And I'm like, I'm not going to let
What if he had a pee?
I don't I don't care. I don't think he did. He knew, and he's like, I'm going to beat all of these people. And I'm like, no, you're not. It was just, I don't even know why, because a lot of times I'll be like, oh my gosh, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. It's happened to me. Like sometimes, I didn't realize I have to get over. Now I got to get,
I feel like even Buddha is not Buddha during traffic. I don't like, we can't be held responsible for my actions during traffic.
So it's nice. I have my window down. They've got their windows down. I can see that he's a passenger in the thing, and we're just sitting there, and it's a long light. And so he is trying to get over, so we're all kind of just slowly moving, and I'm like staying right with that guy in front of me. He gets it clears, we open up. He comes up beside me to tell me, and he said, something about being a jerk. I heard jerk. Yeah. And I said, don't be a bully. And then I just turned and laughed real quick. And then I looked up, and I'm like,
last word.
He's coming down the one way. And I'm like, oh God, please don't see where I park. It's like, so I'm going to be nasty, and then I'm going to run.
I got the last word.
My palms were all sweaty.
Yeah, I think when pettiness or whatever you want to say, I don't know, all bets are off in traffic. I'm not my best self in traffic too.
Yeah, I try to show up for, I try to do this and be my best self.
I try to do that. I bet they have to pee. I bet they have to poop. I bet they're like, I drank a coffee and I ate a bran muffin, and I was not expecting this traffic, and I need to get to a parking space immediately. That's what I'm going to think for him.
Well, see,
but he said the jerk thing, so I don't think that.
I was like,
okay, did I ever tell you the funny story of my friend who blocked someone? Mike. Oh my God, this is a great story. We tell it all the time because this is perfect. Our friend Mike had a Camaro. This is 90s, and he's driving, and there's a car trying to pass him on the left and the right, and they're going down some side streets of Hudson. And he's like, I'm not going to let them pass me. So he makes sure no matter what they do, he is blocking them. And this goes on for 10, 15 minutes in a car with someone actively doing everything, trying to go and cross traffic and cross the lanes, everything. He finally gets to a light where it opens up, and the woman in the driver's seat rolls down her window. The woman in the passenger seat has both feet up on the dash, pregnant, breathing, and the woman in the driver's seat, you bleep, I'm driving her to the hospital, she's having a baby. And she cuts off through the red light and goes. And he's like, I just took a left and was like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that for the last 15 minutes. Baby's going to be born in a car.
That's a good Name it Mike. That's what I would have done.
If it's in the car, name it Mike.
I know, that would have made me feel really bad. And so
I think of that kind of stuff.
When my kids were learning to drive, I would say instead of getting them frustrated, and I think I started doing it before because I'm like, I could definitely see myself falling into a road rage kind of person and being like, just holding that anger. And I'm like, but really, why? I'm experiencing all this rage in my own vehicle, and they, who knows what their scenario is. And so I just started saying to myself, you know what? Maybe that person just lost their spouse. Maybe that person is driving themselves to the hospital. Like, I've had to drive myself to the ER. And it's like, I've been in situations like that. And I'm so giving people the benefit of the doubt. And man, is it so freeing.
It is.
To stop holding judgment on
and what are you going to do with all
like,
this rage? It doesn't go anywhere. My road rage, like, it doesn't get released anywhere. I don't get to. Unless I'm driving
it just makes
600 miles an hour. That's the only way I would release it is by going so fast that I'm like, I'm making up time. There's no way I could actually get rid of that rage. So I started having to be a really nice person once I started driving a billboard for a car. My entire business name is the wrap of my vehicle. So I was, go ahead. I was doing a lot
of. Really, so all you've done. You haven't changed anything. 9 times out of 10, that person has no clue that you're upset with them. And all you've done is made your experience, your drive to work, your drive home miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Upsetting.
You bring that home.
Yes.
And you bring that mood home, and it's like a wet diaper.
Yes. Yes.
And it lays all over everything.
So, but it's like, so it goes back to self-love. It goes back showing up. And like sometimes we think that if you've had a bad day at work and you're grumbling and like, yes, I'll take it out on that car. You're not really taking it out on that car. You might do one move, but really that rage is inside of you and you're just allowing it to build. So I just started looking at it and because I don't want my kids to have road rage. I don't want them to be bullies on the road. I don't want them to be a jerk. So it really started changing. And actually when they were in car seats too, it really changed my language.
Yeah, because they start going, move stupid behind you and you're like, oh
yes.
no. Oh no.
So every time there was an ambulance or a wreck or anything, I would just say, I would just say out loud, I like, please, Lord, protect them, watch over this, watch over these people, this family, and make sure, I would just say a little prayer instead of and putting a blessing out there and doing that, and I've heard them say it too, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't even do that for that, but it was important for me to not have them carry that, like, don't get stressed.
Yeah.
And I was
don't mirror mommy doing this.
And I'm like, it's better to be late than dead. Mm-hmm. Don't drive like an idiot. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yep.
You'll get it. You'll get it.
And my problem is if I'm going 55 or 65, I feel like I'm not moving. I feel like, oh my God, this is so slow.
Yeah.
So the part of me that's losing my mind doing the speed limit with no one around me. The rage that I could build inside of why do we make this vehicles? Why am I driving this much horsepower? Why do I have wheels? I could roll.
Why are they caging me in? Why are they restricting me?
So there's the part of me, I should have been born in Germany so I could drive on the Autobahn. So I don't need anyone around me for me to be rageful that we're going this slow when we have all of this technology. And I think about the self-driving cars. Are they all going to go 55 and 65? I don't want one.
I know.
I don't want one of those.
I'm going to put you in the back seat.
And you see the speedometer, and it goes all the way. Why can't we drive? Look how fast this car would
can't
go.
You go a little faster?
Yeah.
Like
so when
10 minutes, we can do 10 miles over the speed limit on the
So
highway.
I had to tell myself, you would lose your mind by yourself on the road doing the speed limit. So I have to try to keep that tamped down. Down. I always think I should just have a private jet so I can get places.
I would love to have somebody else fueling my plane for me.
Yeah. Get the plane ready. I'm going to the supermarket.
So I heard something that was interesting. So we're talking about like holding grudges and, like all of those things and pain and like hurt. And like we carry all that aggression and stuff. I heard something, read it yesterday. Pain is only triggered by another person when there's already pain inside of you.
Yes.
And I just thought that was such a beautiful way to say it. And so our aggression, and today, like mine, like it's been a stressful, it's been a stressful couple of weeks.
And you're not feeling well.
Right. And the reason why I think I got so irritated at that guy is because there were already 6 cars behind me. So it's not like he...
What made you special?
Right.
What makes you special, dude?
Right. Dude, you're not getting to the head of the line because you want to be a bully. Like, you see everybody else sitting here and you think that you're going to cheat the system. I'm going to make sure.
Waiting.
Yes. And so most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I let that go. But today, I'm like, yeah, I'll pick a fight with you. And then I'll run.
Then I'll turn left. You won't find me.
You can call me whatever you want when you're still a bully. And I did. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe I actually just screamed. I didn't really scream. I was like, well, you're being a bully.
You're not getting the last word.
And he's probably like, oh, you're so scared. But I'm like, what am I doing? I just need to release this. And I'm like, because it's not changing. It's changing my vibration. It's lowering my vibration.
It's your cortisol.
Yes.
They got to bleed off later.
And what we don't realize is that we're doing this all the time to ourselves. Like we're constantly.
Oh, those podcasts. I was so angry.
Yes. It's fine.
And then I'm like, where does this all go? I have it. No one else has it. So then I call my friend. I feel like I should tell you all the things I learned on the podcast, but you're just going to be really angry. She's like, don't tell me. I'm like, I know it's got to go somewhere.
I got to hear it.
And I did talk to someone, and I thought they were going to have a very similar opinion to me. And their opinion was so opposite mine. I was like, wow. It's amazing how, and I said, don't you think this? Or what about this? Or what about this? And they had a completely different explanation in their head for everything. And I get along with this person really well. And that's just it's amazing how.
But did you
same line of work, making the same dollar amount, his opinion was the economy is great, inflation is low, continue to fund the war in Ukraine.
Wow.
Like he had all of these things. And I was like, wow. After what I learned, because the reason why I was like, I need to learn more information about all of these things. So I go and I'm like, wow, I thought it was X. It is actually worse than X, I listened to this astrophysicist who's the head of an economics he goes to these colleges and he started in astrophysics. So super smart dude. Then he goes to mathematics, then he goes to economics, and he goes to all these things. So I was listening to him and I was like, oh, I thought it was X. You're saying it's Y. I didn't know we were that far down this path of X, Y, and Z. And I think part of the problem for me is when I learn something, I want to talk about it.
But
even to figure out how I feel about it.
Did you take when you guys were disagreeing, or like not disagreeing, but like polar opposite points of view?
I wanted to say, but then I felt like I was being argumentative because I don't like when people tell me something is white when it's black.
Right.
So the same thing of don't tell me inflation is 3% when I go to the supermarket and I buy gas and I pay in my, I don't do property management now, but in my property management, I spent people's money. And I know what things used to cost because I have a whole record of it in my accounting system.
Right.
And I know what it costs today. And it's hundreds of % more.
Oh, my gosh. Even construction.
But the supermarket, I see it at the supermarket.
Well, it's funny. So
to me, I was like, wow, maybe and then I was like, maybe he has this opinion because he doesn't go to the supermarket. Maybe his wife does.
So, yes, tell me, you don't say that inflation. Herbal Essence has this shampoo. It's, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It's something about charcoal. Anyway, whatever it is, it's got it. I love the smell of it. So I buy it, the conditioner specifically for the smell. So I've had it. It's always been like, $3.99, $4.99. I went to go, I saw it yesterday and I'm like, it's $9.99. It's the same shampoo. And a couple of months ago it was $4.99. Yeah. And I'm like, it's $10 now?
Right.
Like, I don't love the smell that much. It's not even great. I have a better conditioner.
Well, you can buy really good quality shampoo for $15.
Right.
It starts making...
But I was buying it for the smell. Like $4. Right. I put some conditioner on my hair. I love the way it smells.
Yeah.
It's like, perfume for my hair. So
right.
I didn't care about the brand, but I was like, no, there's a part of me that says, no, your product wasn't that great in the first place, so I'm not going to spend another $5 on it.
So the soap I use, your skin is your largest organ of your body.
Yes.
So if you think about like how do you protect your liver, how do you protect your kidney, it's an organ. Your skin is your organ. So to not put very many chemicals on it. I have psoriasis. I remember buying Lever soap because I used to love the smell of Lever soap. Oh. And I was picking up my psoriasis cream And the pharmacist said, "Why would you possibly buy that soap?" I'm like, it makes me feel clean. I like the way it smells. He said, "It has so many chemicals that as psoriasis you shouldn't be using on your skin." And so he gives me this little education. So he tells me I would buy this. It has no sulfates. It has no phthalates, PHLA. Well, I'm not saying it right. And he told me all the stuff it doesn't have. Well, it used to be $8.99. It is now $17.99.
Wow.
And so when someone says things, I think, how can you think this?
Right.
I wish I thought, oh, it's the same price.
Go back.
Maybe I'd be less angry.
They will even go back and go Google the price of what a 2x4 cost 2 years ago, or even just a year ago, and what it is today. Like, in the construction world, it's...
So when they talk about AI and they say how wonderful it is, I think, is it solving our trash problem? Is it solving our climate problem? Is it solving all of these things you claim we have? We have real problems. Is it solving the cost of...
we have people problems. We have communication problems. We have connection problems. And, going AI is only separating us further and further.
So if it's not fixing these things, I'm not interested in AI. All it does is look like more ways to advertise to me.
Well, I think, we develop things and it sounds good, for convenience and to lighten our load. But then what do we do with it? What do we do with that, that quote unquote
But
free
does that
time?
make me a Luddite? Because my Windows 11 came up and it said use AI, and I'm trying to click that I don't want to use it, and it's like, we'll upload it now, and I'm like, don't upload it.
I know.
now.
I've been trying to do that too.
Right?
So
I'm like, no, I don't want you. I'm doing the thing. I don't
Right.
want you do. That's just same thing about, the cars. I used to drive a carburetor. I don't even know if it's carburetor car, but the old cars used to have so many more parts, and now your car is telling you constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop talking to me. I'm driving this.
Right.
I'm the pilot of this vehicle.
Well, so that's a different story.
But I think that's like a little bit of my age and my little bit of anti-authority. That
yes.
I don't want you pushing me. You're pushing me like a sheep in a direction that I don't want to go. I want to go over there.
Well, now I'm at the point in my life where I understand where, you ever looked at your adults, your parents, or
you're like,
your
totally
grandparents, and you're like, oh, they don't get it. They don't get it. Or they're just not savvy on certain things. And I'm like, I've reached the age in my life where I can now see where we separate from the
youth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of that stuff that's not important to us, or I don't want to fill my head with that, or that's unnecessary steps I need to take, or I'm not interested in that technology. And so I was like, that was just interesting. I was thinking about that, how, wow, I'm actually in that moment right now, and I'm aware that I'm transitioning into like, wow, I'm actually becoming like that. I don't want to, that sounds negative. I don't want to, but yet at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it's actually more freeing to think about. I don't have to clutter my head, and I'm getting more and more focused on
what you want to focus on,
like,
not what they want you to focus on.
Who I am, what I want, what do my days. One of the things that hit me really hard the other day is somebody said, we only have so many adventures left.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, just keep thinking about that. And I'm like, are we living, or are we existing? Are we, by practicing our road rage, or not living the life that we want to live, or choosing to live in not laying down the stresses of work, and not choosing to lean into your soft spot? We spend all this time creating a beautiful respite, a home, or a space. But then we bring our toxins with us into it, and it's like, we don't allow it to rejuvenate us, and it's like this pressure to perform and perform and perform, and in some ways I think we push that on our kids too. And so it's like we're creating these stressful human beings.
And maybe they're revolting against it because they don't seem to want to do the stuff that we wanted to do.
Yeah, maybe they know something that we don't know.
Maybe they know, but I don't know what they have in store for themselves. But and I always wonder. Sometimes my resistance to technology is, no one talks about, I talk about how it breaks all the time. No one else is like, I spent 45 minutes trying to print a document this morning. No one else talks about that. But then, you'll see a meme or something and you're like, I'm seen. But I wonder.
I'm not alone.
And I think to myself, don't be ridiculous. Of course you have to march forward. This is where society is going. And that would be like in 1945, you saying you're not going to use the phone. Don't be ridiculous.
Right.
I'm just going to write letters.
Those stupid automobiles. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Oh, you'll never see me driving one.
Stupid planes, birds in the sky, metal birds in the sky. Ridiculous. I'm never getting on one. So I have to remind myself, this is the way we're going. I'm just questioning, are we going in the correct direction before I jump in the line?
Yes.
Before I'm being pushed, because I'm not jumping in the line.
Yes.
I'm obviously standing on the side with my cigarette.
Yes.
And my whiskey, going, what are we doing over there?
Yes.
I don't drink cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes, and I don't drink whiskey. But at this moment,
right,
I am like,
I'm a cigar and whiskey kind of girl right now.
I am like smoking and questioning what's going on over there, and do I really want to get involved? And
right,
I feel like I have no choice.
That is true. You said something the other day about it was hard to be present.
Oh, because I was saying, when you're really rushed, the more you put in your life, the more you have to do, the more you feel like you have to get through it. And you're always thinking about the next thing, and you're trying to maximize this moment by doing too many things. And you're rushing time and you're not present. And I've noticed this now with property management gone. I have so much space in my head that of all these things I don't have to do, and I don't feel so behind. And that's because maintaining buildings is a full-time job plus. And no matter what you do today, you never have a list with nothing on it going to tomorrow. There's always something that doesn't get fixed today that has to go tomorrow. For example, I have a gas stove. The oven broke a couple of weeks ago. It's been breaking since we bought it. Something triggers and it won't, the sensor and doesn't turn on the pilot light. Oh. So our oven hasn't worked, and there's no appointment. So most in Nashua, I haven't called Nashua yet. Maybe I should. All of the appliance people that I called do not work on gas stoves. So what appliance are you fixing? My dryer's gas, my stove is gas. But anyways, the only company that did, they didn't have an appointment until May 16th. So I will be like 5 weeks without an oven. Wow. And I thought, is everyone okay with this? Why doesn't AI fix my oven? You think you want to tell me AI is useful? Have it fix my oven.
Right. Right.
I'm waiting. Everyone keeps saying it's going to take all the jobs. Fix my oven job.
I think there's an appliance place in Milford.
So I called multiple places, because what I did, you don't get to talk to a human being. You have to fill it in online, and then I get the response, we don't work on gas appliances. And I know there's a huge push that they don't want gas appliances, but I am not cooking on an electric stove.
Wait, why? I didn't hear that.
Massachusetts banned them.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Climate change. Do you know what electricity So it's going to be electric. Do you know how to make electric? Do you know how to make electricity?
I love cooking with gas.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be able to cook. I do not know how to cook on electric. I don't know how to use a microwave. No one believes me. I do not know how to use a microwave. Every time I make anything in the microwave, there's always a pocket that will burn the skin off the roof of your mouth and be cold right next to it.
Yes.
And we'll keep stirring. How would I not use it?
I know. We were talking about that the other day. I cook bacon in their microwave because I love the way it's easy. It's faster, and I have a bacon tray for it, so it catches all the grease and all that stuff. But you can get it to the right, Other than that, I think that's popcorn. I
make popcorn on a stove in a pan.
Oh, I love the old fashioned air popper. We have one of those too.
Remember Jiffy Pop?
Yes.
I used to love shaking
that thing. I was always scared of it. I didn't do it because I don't like things jumping out at me. Yeah, same. I don't open the can of biscuits for that very reason. I literally walked across the house the other day, and I'm like, Kayla, can you open this for me?
You don't open the cinnamon roll thing?
No. I don't like it I don't know when it's coming.
You don't like Jack in the Box?
Not right. Adrenaline. That's some childhood trauma in there. I'm trying to heal
There's some story that...
I think it was when we were kids. It's like the frogs. Just being surprised off of that. My first instinct is to run.
Well, an adrenaline dump is a real thing. for the system, for your system.
Yes.
A true adrenaline dump. I mean, you've got nothing for the rest of the day. So
I'm all used up on the donuts.
all the jam is out of my donut.
I gotta go lay down and take a nap, man. Those cinnamon rolls wore me out.
I'm gonna go lie in
Did
the
you make
sun.
them by hand? No, just pop the can.
So frightening.
It's drama. Well, we were going to talk about relationships too, but we only have like 5 more minutes left up.
We have 5 more minutes, and we didn't even talk about the thing we wanted to talk about. We were talking about. I was telling you, I don't, and I forget how we got into the conversation, but we were talking about baby bird season, right?
Yes.
And then we were talking about how I started saying, "Have you ever seen a baby bird being pushed from its nest by its parents?"
Mm-mm.
And it's heartbreaking. Well, for me, it was. You know,
I watched the penguins too. That's sad.
Oh my goodness! Break your heart, break my heart, and that's that's why I would be a smothering mother.
And the baby bears and they cry. I can't do that.
Yeah. So I was saying, blue jays, they don't kick their teenagers out because the teenagers will contribute to the next brood. Because sometimes blue jays will have babies twice in a year, and they don't kick that first group out because they teach them to be part of a group. So you can have, if you have the right environment, you could have a pretty big blue jay group, and they can be bullies to the other birds.
Wow.
But they're surviving. That's their thing. And there's more of us. And then there is of you because we're working in numbers.
They're creating community.
They're creating a community. They're all contributing to the group, and they're working for each other, which we could kind of use a little lesson, a blue jay lesson. But then I said, do you notice that? And I was kind of talking about it from the standpoint of, you know, I couldn't wait to get out of my house. And I joke around that when you're like, oh, the kids want to hang out. And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that feels like.
I didn't want to do that with my parents. I didn't want to spend more time with them. But that's a recurring theme. And I'm like, all my friends have lovely children that we want to we hang out with them. We love them. They're lovely children. But then we were kind of talking about the baby bird no parent pushes their kid out of the nest because why would they? The economy's not good. Like we talked about all the things that I was thinking that the person in my industry said specifically, they felt the complete opposite than me, that the economy's great. He told me the economy was great.
Well, yeah, I think if, I mean, our kids are 21 and it looks very different. 21 for me looked very different for what their 21 looks like. And even just looking for an apartment.
Because life is so expensive. Yeah.
It is. I mean, you know, most kids now, like some kids are like, they have a $500, $600 car payment or however, like even cars aren't cheap. You know, they've gone through the roof. And did you know that?
So the car that we looked at that would replace our car. So I have a 2012 Ford F-350. The replacement for the exact car I have is $93,000. Yeah. My first home was not $93,000. Right.
I know, it's crazy. And so I don't like.
And I'm like, how are people dividing this over 5 years?
But is it forcing us to? It can go 2 ways. You can either have your children that are going to stay around. Do you start having them like, okay, hey, we're going to be a community and everybody's going to contribute differently. So,
but you are going to contribute,
right? And but if you're going to stay home, maybe you are the one that's going to be responsible for the grocery shopping, or you're going to be in charge of this, or why not divide the bill, like divide up some of the expenses, or make it so it is we are community instead of
parents to a 25-year-old or
a 30-year-old living at home, or we're doing these things, and it's like, I think in the heart of hearts, we don't want them to do that. It's a natural process of life. It doesn't children leaving the nest does not have to be an ugly thing.
Yes.
And I look back and I think about some of the stories of my friends and you and us, and like a lot of people that I know in our generation. It wasn't really pretty. It was always, it was like a fight, it was a fight, or it was an upset or something. There was always something negative around it while we left home.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
We can make it,
pleasurable.
Yes. Equip them, empower them to be an adult empower them to go find their journey. And if not, be a contributing member.
Right. A real contributing member.
Yes.
Not just pick up your own room.
Yeah.
Pick up
Taking
the
the
whole
trash
house.
out once a week or mowing the lawn is not contributing. You did that when you were 4 or 8,
or 10.
Right.
You can do better than that now.
Yes.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You were listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. We will see you next Thursday.
Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.